Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
This is Going to Get Loud, the working musician's ultimate guide to striking a new path through today's music industry. With your host, Paul Nikolas.
Welcome to It's Going to Get Loud. Today I am Paul Nikolas, and I'm here today with Lee Caruso Jr. from the band Big Atlantic, based out of Pittsburg, Pennsylvania. Lee, how you doing today?
I'm all right, Paul. How you doing?
Hey, good, man. And so thanks for coming on
the show.
Yeah, you bet. And so we're talking today a little bit about basically first things first, what to do when talking to booking agents, how to approach these guys, and how to set up a basic press kit. So this show, we're going to kind of start from square one, and in subsequent shows, we're going to build it up. So for those of you folks who are just starting out, you're trying to get your first gig, you're trying to get your feet wet, you're not really sure how to get out to the clubs and where to start, this is going to be the show for you. And then every show after this, we're going to help you start building up from the bottom all the way until you reach your goals. So Lee's been with Big Atlantic for quite some time now. Lee, tell us a little bit about what you guys are currently doing.
Well, it's actually funny that we're having this interview because Big Atlantic is sort of in a position where we're revamping our brand and basically starting out all over again, which can happen it can be a good decision for many bands. You know, if something's not working, it's about finding something that can work. You know, but we're currently right now we're revamping our website. We just bought a tour bus and we're getting ready to, go out on tour and play some gigs with some bands that we've met at some music festivals and build our brand up and our name. And we're about ready to release our new record, Tempered, coming up here in March. And
awesome.
That's been a long time coming. So those are some basic things that we're doing right now. But everything's going great. It's definitely a grind, like always.
So the reason I wanted to have you on is because you're a guy who's been touring, you've been playing shows. You're right where a lot of our listeners are, where you've played lots of shows, but you're trying to get to the next level. But since you're a friend of mine, we've talked over the years, and I know that you have a lot of experience when it comes to breaking into new venues, getting the first gigs at new venues, and really getting your name out there. So the one thing that I wanted to start off by chatting about a little bit today is basic do's and don'ts when talking to or approaching booking guys at smaller bars, clubs, and restaurants. For a lot of the folks that are just getting started out there, it may seem daunting to them. They may not want to say the right things, or they may want to say the right things but just don't know what those are. So tell me, Lee, when you're approaching a new bar, club, or restaurant, new place in your city or somewhere else, what are the first things that
Oh, you still there? I lost you. Lost you for 1 second.
or trick to getting in?
Can you ask that again? I lost you for 1 second there.
Okay. Yeah, so when you're breaking into a new venue, what are the things that you do to kind of kick down the door? Are you making a lot of phone calls? Are you doing a lot of emails, a lot of Facebook messages? What is your secret?
Well, I don't think there's really any secret, but the first thing I think a band should always do is be prepared to back up what you're saying. If you're coming into a venue, especially one that's a step up, and usually that's what you're aiming for, you always want to try to aim to get into a better place, and the right venues too, playing the right venues for, the type of music you're doing and your brand. I think it's another conversation, but I definitely recommend having a strong press kit and making things very convenient for that promoter to go and check out online. If you need to have a great website, I think that's really important. A great video really helps. And,
okay, so that's something I was going to get into the second segment, but let's go ahead and talk about that right now, because square one, like you said, is going to be having the right press kit. So the one thing that I can say from having been on both sides of the equation, obviously I've been an artist like you and, still continue to play lots of shows. And I'm on the other side of the fence too, where my company is booking venues and we're building the show slinger software and all that kind of thing. So I've seen tens of thousands of press kits. And the one thing that I can say is you have to not be lazy, meaning don't just throw up one picture on Reverb Nation or Showslinger or anywhere else and say that you're done. You have to really stand out. So what do you recommend, or what do you guys do to stand out from the rest of the pack? There's a million bands out there. Is it the videos? Is it the photos? Is it the audio? Is it all of them? What do you think?
Well, I think number one, I think there's a lot of bands out there that are trying to, be something that they're not. And what I mean by that is, what is your brand? What is your band about? What's your story? So people should get that, and promoters should get that without having to ask you. They should see that in the photos. They should see that in the video. They should be able to read that in your biography, and it's all about vibes. And if your branding's good, then you're attracting the right people. So these people are going to see that their clientele that they have coming in their clubs matches the people that you're attracting. And okay. I think that's a huge key point. Having a good website helps, and you cannot be lazy about your photos. Don't be afraid to hire somebody to capture, get really good photos, get really good footage, live footage. I think that goes into the not being lazy part. It's a lot of work. It's very hard work, as you know, from being a musician as many years as you've been one. And, don't get discouraged at all if it's taking a long time. It's better to take a long time and do something right that's going to be best for you and your brand than it is for you to just half-ass it and kind of, put it and just put something out there,
Yeah, and so you touched on a lot of really good points there. And first and foremost, you're talking about a brand. And so for the folks out there that are just getting started out, the brand is everything about you, your vision, and your band. The brand encompasses everything. It's the way you look, it's the way you sound, Absolutely. It's the way you talk, it's the merch you sell, it's the videos you have, it's the photos you take. So the point is, and the one thing that I could tell bands is, like you said, don't be lazy, but more importantly, make sure that every single thing that touches your fans, the public, the clubs, anybody is the best that you can make it. I don't care if it's your logo, your T-shirt, whatever. Do the absolute best that you can do with the resources that you have. I know a lot of people are broke. They don't have a lot of money. You don't need a lot of money to get your foot in at the door at venues and to do a really killer press kit. Everyone's got a smartphone, and if they don't, they've got a buddy that's got a smartphone, okay? Take a couple of hours, go find a cool spot around town that fits your image. If you're a metal band, go find a burned out industrial complex, take someone's iPhone, go over there, snap a few pictures. If you're a country artist, drive outside of town for a couple hours, find a field or a mountain or something, and take your pictures. But make sure they're appropriate so it fits the brand and the story that you're telling, which is, Lee, what you were talking about there.
And I think to go a step further, too, if you're a band that's just starting out, of course you're going to start out in some probably makeshift clubs and stuff, but you want to practice these good practices in those clubs, because when you're trying to take a step up, you want to be able to show these guys that you don't just book the show and show up and play it. I mean, you want to do advertising. Make sure that you put effort into getting people to the show, because promoters and clubs want to see that you are working with them as a team and not against them and relying on them to do everything. There's a lot of musicians out there that have this attitude that promoters are bad. Clubs are bad. Oh, they just expect. Well, the truth is they just expect
they're your partner.
To pull your weight. Yes, absolutely. It's a business. It's not you playing band. It's business. That's what it is. And the second you stop and realize that it is a business and start treating it like one, it'll start acting like one. You'll get better results.
Yeah, and that's a theme that we harp on in almost every show that we ever do is, business is not a dirty word for those of you starting out or those of you who are, and we're all artists, we get that, but artists have to eat. Eating takes money. Money is business. So, don't think of business
exactly.
If
you want to make a living, you got to do business. So,
and don't, and like Lee was saying, don't look at, promoters or booking agents or certain folks as adversaries. They're your business partners. You should be helping each other. As a young artist, when you're going into a club, Don't say, what can the club do for me? Do they have the PA I want? Do they have the crowd I want? This, that, and the other. Yes, you should look at those things, but set should really be, what can I do for them? Can I bring enough people? Can I sound good enough to please their crowd? If I'm a cover band, am I playing the right songs to please their crowd and to keep people drinking? Am I at the right level of the game to be in there? And if you approach things that way, then not only are the clubs going to be more willing to talk to you and do business with you, which is booking you, but it's really a much more healthy way to approach the entire industry in general instead of taking. And that's the basis of networking. What can I do for you? And business is all about networking.
And Paul, that's a very important point because, people have, if you're a musician, you are an artist a lot of times, and you're trying to manage your own band these days. And it's hard to break out of the routine of being an artist and being an entrepreneur for a little bit, and then going back to the artist. Sometimes you have to do that, and that's a tough thing to do if you have routine and habits built. But simply changing your perception, on some things can make a huge difference in your results. And I think a lot of bands struggle with that. They go out for help. They pay a lot of people for help, even these social marketers that are paying for likes and stuff. And it really doesn't do you any good because you're trying to get an honest measurement of who you're attracting and who's liking your stuff, for instance. I mean, that's a perfect example. So when you be promoters, there's a brand alignment thing. It kind of comes back to that too. I mean, so there's some promoters you might not want to work with because their venues might not fit the kind of music that you play, and that's okay. But the key here is doing the footwork, and because a promoter can be great, it can be your best tool and your best friend, is getting people to the venue and playing the right venues, or it can be the worst thing for your band if you're not doing the footwork behind it.
Okay,
so I think.
No. Sorry, I was just going to say let's take it back one step, and I totally agree with you there. So say you're an artist that's just getting started out. What are a couple of concrete steps that you would take to find the right venues? Do you start with an internet search? Do you start by calling promoters? Do you start by calling friends? What do you do? I mean, for me, it's kind of a mix of all three.
Mm-hmm. It really depends if are we talking cover band or an original band?
Either or.
Either or? Because I would probably approach each one slightly different, but if I were to start a band, I would obviously immediately start to build a catalog of music and get that tight and be able to follow through with what I'm pitching. But I would get some photos done, and I would book some shows at some local clubs that might be smaller to test out the material as well as tighten up the band. And of course it's normal. It's totally normal. A lot of bands get discouraged about this. But you might have only your friends show up. But if you can get 15, 20 friends, you're in front of people. That's good enough. Shoot some photos, get some great photos, get some great video. And building a website today is very cheap. I mean, you can get a WordPress site for under $100, and it's not that hard to learn. I would
recommend to a lot of folks out there, just go to Wix.com. I mean, they have phenomenal sites where you can drag and drop in your photos and videos. It's $100 for the entire year, but I guarantee it's the best money ever spent because you don't need to know anything, no coding, no nothing. But the one thing that I would say when putting together a press kit, because I've seen thousands of them, not only through Showslinger, but everywhere else, is less is more. Do not put up 100 terrible photos. Put up one good one. Don't put up 50 songs that you've recorded. Put up 30 seconds of one phenomenal one. Less is more when you're talking to booking people. Audio, video, photos. Just put up the best that you have.
Absolutely. Because you have to understand, too, a lot of these agents or promoters, I mean, they're getting bombarded with emails and getting stuff sent to them constantly. And you want your stuff to stand out right away. If they go check out your stuff, whether it's online or if it's a physical press kit, not a lot of them do physicals anymore, but you want everything easily accessible because they get a lot of stuff to go through and they don't have time to run through your website.
do not make them do any kind of work. I can tell you that the booking folks that work for Showslinger and for me, that is the one thing. You would not believe how many people will just email us and say, hey, do you have any shows for me? We don't know who you are, no phone number, no press kit, no online materials of any kind, and just saying, what can you do for me? And it's like, well, first and foremost, you got to give me something that I can look at. I mean, you'd be amazed at how often that happens. So, if you're a band that you're looking to get started.
Understanding the job of the person. I mean, educate yourself a little bit. I mean, understanding the job of the person that you're doing business with is very important. If you actually understand the role of a promoter or an agent and what they are doing, it'll help you land the gigs, and it'll help you better prepare to create the opportunity for you to land those gigs through them.
Yeah, and so that's actually a great segue, because we're gonna take that into the next segment and talk exactly about that. What are booking agents and promoters looking for, and what are they doing, and how can you really catch their eye? But first and foremost, the one thing that I would always say is understand these guys' submissions policies, because some of them are different. You can go to the website and they say, shoot us an email. We require, a video, this, and this. Other guys say, stop into the venue. Some actually still say, physically mail me a press kit. Whatever it is, make sure that you follow it to the T and you do it better than anybody else. That's how you're going to stand out. When we're booking artists, we say, look, sign up for Showslinger. It's free. Send us a press kit, and we'll go ahead and consider you for the opportunity. Guy will sign up, put up one picture, and say, okay, I'm ready to go. And we're going to say, look, if you're not willing to put any effort behind yourself, why are we going to put any effort to book you? That would represent us and our clients poorly. So, just make
Absolutely.
sure.
Yep,
real
sorry,
quickly. No, and I was going to say, and that. Go ahead. We got 10 seconds.
No, I was just going to say also, like, touching on the booking, if you're cold calling and there's no submission details on how to submit, make sure that you keep the message short. I mean, actions speak louder than words. Give them a video, keep the message short. You don't need to type them a long email. They don't care about every little detail about how
less
your
is
band
more
came together. So
less is more. And on the next segment, we'll be talking to Lee Caruso Jr. from Big Atlantic. I'm Paul Nikolas. It's going to get loud. We're going to be talking about booking agents and promoters, so stick around. We'll see you back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on InnerTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the InnerTalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
STP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that.
SilverTigerProduction.com.
This is going to get loud. The working musician's ultimate guide to striking a new path through today's music industry. With your host, Paul Nikolas.
Welcome back. We're talking with Lee Caruso Jr. from the band Big Atlantic. On the last segment, we were talking about the basics of how to start approaching clubs to find the right gigs, and we're going to continue that conversation here with Lee, who's done many successful tours and many successful shows. Lee, we're going to talk a little bit about booking agents and promoters and what their jobs are. So as an artist, tell me how you see things from your side, and then I'll talk a little bit about how we see things from the other side, and hopefully give some insight into these folks about, you know, who the people are that you're approaching and how to best bend their ear.
So you're asking about how I view a promoter from an artist standpoint?
Yeah, talk about how you view promoters and booking agents and how you successfully can grab their attention.
Well, honestly, from a business standpoint, being an artist and a business person at the same time here, I view them as an asset. I think they can help your career, and I think they won't necessarily hurt your career, but you can hurt your own career by working with the wrong ones for sure. But promoters are, they put you in the venues. You know, they're usually in charge of working with the artists and placing them in the venues. They have an inventory of dates they work with venues that they, you know, have, and they put you in there. But I think on an agent standpoint, I really don't think a lot of bands that aren't doing national tours or doing larger tours usually work with agents as much as they do promoters. But we don't really work with many agents per se, unless we're doing stuff with multiple bands.
And when you say that, you're talking about agents that represent you, as opposed to booking agents that work on behalf of the bars, clubs, restaurants, and other venues.
Yeah, because when you're starting out, you're usually doing flat guarantees if you're getting any money. And you're usually working that out directly with the venue, or you're working that out directly with the promoter of that venue. If you're hiring on an agent, you're obviously looking to do larger tour stuff. And in that case, they would be the liaison between you and the promoter of that venue that you're trying to get, or the venue itself. So, of course, the agent represents the artist and the promoter represents the venue. But I personally, with the band that I've project managed on their animal release, Hidden in Plain View, I worked with their agent on doing some project management and marketing stuff and promoting the album release and boosting ticket sales. But really, the promoters I worked with on a lot of the advertising stuff. So I think when it comes to advertising, especially smaller clubs, and we're talking about like 400 to 800 people maybe, you're usually working directly with the promoter as the artist to advertise and on, you know, getting things done in ticket sales, boosting ticket sales. But with the agents, you know, you more or less work with them on, you know, personal things for the artist, making more engagement tactics, I would say, is the proper word for it. But I don't know if that answers your question properly, but
no, I mean, it's all. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, the important thing I think is that, you know, if you're wanting to start working with booking agents that represent you or promoters, you have to be kind of at that level of the game, which is, you know, already a little bit established. You've got a reputation. You know, people know who you are. You have a track record. You've been in clubs, because that's what they're going to rely on to promote you. So when you're or push you to other venues, essentially sell you to other venues.
Absolutely. An agent, you have to have you have to have your stuff together with an agent, because they are kind of vouching for you and selling you to a promoter. So you have to have the correct tools together, the stuff we talked about earlier, a good website, good press photos, even a good video. You have to supply them with the tools to give you the opportunity with these promoters. And that's usually something that comes over time from you playing a lot of shows and being active as a band and engaging and having some fans, because obviously these promoters, they want to see that you're going to sell tickets. And if you have an agent representing you, that's also, that's their reputation too that they're putting on the line when they're putting a band inside of a venue. They know that you can feel it.
Well, that goes back to, what we were talking about earlier in the first segment, is that people are only going to invest their time or their money into somebody that's worth investing in. So my point is that when you're setting up your initial basic press kit, if you're an artist just getting started, you're just trying to get your first shows, or even if you're an established artist, the point is that if you put up a crappy press kit with crappy photos, crappy audio, all that kind of thing, who the heck is ever going to put their money or their time behind you if you're not willing to put it behind yourself? So it goes back to what I was saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whatever you do, make sure it is the best you can afford, the best that you can do. Take the time. I mean, a lot of artists getting started out don't have time to hire, videographers and producers and all this kind of thing. But, you can grab free, video editing software. Take, a couple of days or a week to learn it. Edit your own videos, Maybe you're not a great photographer,
You're hitting on very important points here because it's all about work ethic.
Absolutely.
The more work that you put into yourself and the more that you learn, the more that you're going to understand their jobs and how you are benefiting them and how they are benefiting you. And that shows in press kits a lot. I mean, EPKs are extremely important. And, working directly with promoters, I know a lot of bands have tons of headaches and worries and they don't think highly of promoters, but it's good for them because it trains you to on what an agent deals with. And if you can start landing shows directly with promoters, you're obviously doing something right. So agents, you're going to have better luck getting an agent to land you gigs with promoters. So yeah, I think
that's absolutely correct. And, the one thing that I would tell anybody who's just getting their start, and I think that almost every booking agent, promoter, club owner, anyone in the industry on the planet would agree with me, and this may sound crazy, but it's totally true. The quality of your audio, your video, and your photos, okay, is a direct correlation to how good you are. There's nobody who has phenomenal videos, phenomenal songs, and phenomenal photos that is really terrible live. But I've never seen anybody with terrible photos, terrible videos, terrible audio be really insanely killer live. And even if they were, no one's going to give them a chance anyway. So, don't do yourself a disservice. Take the time.
How you treat your band and present your band is, it shows a professionalism, and I think that that's very relevant to agents and promoters. They want to see that you're not going to come in and the singer's going to get drunk on stage and fall off the stage or something, or, and just really just throw the show. They don't want you to throw the show, and
and so, I every once per show I have to throw in a shameless plug for Showslinger, but the Lee gives a good example. Somebody getting drunk and falling off the stage or whatever. I kid you not. True story. Earlier today, I was talking to a hotel that is now using Showslinger, and they said, and I kid you not, that a famous celebrity pop singer, one of their groups, not them, but one of their groups, came into this hotel and was snorting a powdery white substance, to be left unnamed, but you know what I'm talking about, in the bathroom before the show. Now, obviously, folks, this is a big no-no, but with Showslinger, you better believe that their feedback profile would have reflected the behavior at the show. The point being is that your reputation follows you, and with Showslinger, it's transparent. So if you do a great job, you're going to get noticed and get more gigs because you can build on that reputation, which is why we built Showslinger in the first place. You don't have to start over at the bottom. Now, that's the first thing that I would say, folks. If you want a great free press kit, go there. Now, the other point, though, is that your reputation is everything, and people, just like dating on Tinder, right? You snap a judgment on somebody in 2 seconds or a millisecond, you swipe left or right. Same thing when promoters and booking agents at clubs are looking at your press kits. They see that many press kits, so they're going to either swipe left or swipe right. So you got a split second. Make sure it counts.
Absolutely. You're going out to be a public person, and the most important part is engaging with fans, right? And you're trying to get in front of the right people. Minus all the business stuff, your reputation is everything, and your reputation is always on the line. So if you're a public person it's going to show more. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb compared to a lot of people that aren't a public person. You don't have the same privileges a lot of other people do that aren't public people. So you have to make sure that, everything that you do towards your reputation, your credibility. Music business today especially is all about credibility. There's a lot of artists out there. They're trying to make it, trying to get gigs, trying to be successful. There's a lot of competition, especially with the internet. So you have to stand out. So you don't want to ruin that. And getting good gigs is not about being a good band all the time. It's about having a good reputation and being professional. That's too.
That's totally true. And folks, don't think that, maybe not at the smaller clubs, but at, the larger clubs where they're booking maybe even 300, 400, 500 seats and up. Don't think that the booking people aren't going out and checking your social media pages and what other people are saying about you. So that one bad YouTube video where the band threw down their guitars and had a fist fight on stage, don't think that's not going to follow you in the age of social media. You have to be very, very careful about how you protect that image. But one thing that I wanted to go into a little bit more, Lee, is just very, very basic. Say you were doing a tour in a city outside. You guys are based in Pittsburgh. Say you were coming down to Atlanta, and you were going to find, quote unquote, the right venues. How do you go about finding the right venues? What are the criteria that you use?
I'd call Show Slinger.
Well, that's kidding. A given. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, it's footwork. I would be researching before I went down there, where the hot spots are. I'd be researching bands that are rock bands, since we're a rock and roll band. And I'd be going and checking out those clubs on foot. I'd be going and checking out bands in there. I'd be talking to people, handing out business cards, talking to the audience, the people that are there drinking and eating. What do they like? How are they dressed? There's all kinds of things that, you can think outside the box in tailoring venues to your sound and your brand. And then I would be calling those people and following up and trying to get a circuit down there. And I think that a handshake, and this, Paul, from being a businessman and a musician, a handshake goes further than an email. It always does. You can show your face, that's important.
Yeah, FaceTime is important for sure. Now, if you're a band and you're going to play outside of town, you're not going to be able to drive to another town to, glad hand people and things like that. But Lee does touch on a very important point there, which is simply that open the best line of communication that you have. So, FaceTime is obviously going to be the number one golden way to build rapport with somebody and get your foot in the door. Yes, that's very hard to nearly impossible for most people. But then try a phone call. If a phone call doesn't work, then, resort to the emails, text messages, all that kind of BS. But don't bands out there, don't hide behind email and text messages and all that stuff. Let them hear your voice. Let them hear your personality. It's your time to shine. You're selling yourself, and an email is not going to sell you that well. I mean, you could have the most killer press kit in the world, but anything you can do to get your foot in the door is going to be key.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to spend some money traveling. If you're going to go a state over, if we were going to go to Cleveland or something like that, I mean, don't be afraid to drive a couple hours or a 6-hour radius and just go and check out places and show your face. It goes a long way. It will help you land gigs. If you're serious about touring, you have to face the fact up front that it's going to cost you money. No matter what, it is going to cost you money if you're starting out, and you have to be willing to invest that money into your future and to potential, opportunity. So
yeah, and the touring monster is something that we're going to break down in a ton of different shows, every single aspect about how to set up that big tour, because it is so important, and it's something that all bands want to do if they're original bands, but very, very, very few of them understand the economic realities. So it's a very, very rigorous thing that we're going to get into. Doing shows around town when you're first starting out, how would you identify clubs as the ones that you wanted to work in? Were you looking for the ones that paid the most, the ones that gave you the most visibility?
I think that looking, especially if you're an original band / cover band, like even if you do both, I think that if you're looking to actually develop it into, unless you're doing a weekend thing or something like that, but if you're looking to develop something out of it, I think worrying about money in the beginning is always a huge no-no. because you're never going to do the right things to create more opportunity later. And that's a whole nother conversation. But what I do personally,
that's a really, really good quote. I'm actually going to write that down.
Well, it's true. And the only reason why is because I've experienced it along with many, many other people. And I think the important thing you need to look at again is obviously if you're around town, you have friends that are in bands. If you're in a band, don't be egotistical and, not go check out their band, work with the bands in your area. Don't be scared of them. They're going to help you, not hurt you. You're stronger as a community. Those bands will get you the gigs. They will get you into the venues that you need to get into. They have relationships in place. Go check out those bands. They might introduce you to a club owner. Most of the gigs, I would say 80% of the gigs that I've gotten locally have been through other bands helping, not because, my pretty face.
And I think that's a very important point, because I've been in all these industry meetups all around the country. I've spoken at colleges and universities and high schools, and I've talked to all these people, and every single band says the same thing. Oh, yeah, we got to come together as a community. We got to help each other. And then I go out in the streets, and these guys are cutting each other's throats, and it is absolutely – there's a huge disparity between what people say and what people do. So my advice to anybody, starting out or wanting to kind of reboot themselves and do it the right way is what Lee said. When you network with people, when you meet other bands and talk to them, do not look at them as adversaries. Do not look at what you can personally get out of them. Look at how you can help them. And when you help somebody else, their guard is going to go down. They're going to want to see how they can help you. And that's the better way to make the world go round. Because once you become a band that starts taking, nobody's going to want to work with you. And that's
Absolutely.
Really what it's all about.
You have to be willing to help others. And right on the business end of things, I am, and I know this sounds maybe awful. I don't know, but I'm automatically, when I'm going after somebody for a gig or whatever, and I'm trying to get a hold of a friend, trying to get into a place, I'm immediately thinking of something I might be able to do for him. And I know if I have nothing now, I will have something later. But don't be afraid to return favors. I mean, there is a business sense there. Returning favors means a lot.
Yeah, and
don't forget where you came from.
That's a great point. You're listening to It's Gonna Get Loud. We're going to be right back with Lee Caruso Jr. from Big Atlantic. Stick around. We got lots of great stuff to go over.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah!
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pittsburg Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pittsburg Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is going to get loud. The working musician's ultimate guide to striking a new path through today's music industry. With your host, Paul Nikolas.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Talking with Lee Caruso Jr. from the touring band Big Atlantic. And so we've been talking a little bit about how to approach booking agents, promoters, and get your foot in the door for your first round of gigs or your next tour. So, Lee, what I want to talk about a little bit here is what kind of resources somebody starting out should use to educate themselves about how to really build that press kit, how to really research venues, and anything else that they can use to put their foot in the door. Now, the one thing that I was going to start with by saying is, obviously we've been talking a lot about having a killer press kit. So that has a few main components: photos, audios, and video, right? You can have the greatest bio in the world. Guaranteed nobody's going to read it, myself included. But everybody is going to start with the videos, then they're going to go to the photos and or audio. So what I would tell somebody starting out is, you got to be a jack of all trades. So, Google is your friend. And I know there's a lot of artists that fear technology, but learn how to not only use it, but love it and be better than anybody else. So like we were talking about, you don't have a huge budget. Great. Learn how to use basic photo editing software, whether it's, full-blown Photoshop or something on your phone. But go out and find, go on Google and find out the best ways to utilize these tools. Don't just be content to say, oh, well, I'm a songwriter, so the only thing I should be doing is writing my songs. You're a business owner and an artist. So, Lee, what are some other resources that you guys use to get the job done when you're putting together press kits and basic materials to get into the clubs?
Well, by ourselves, obviously, we've talked about needing the photos and the video footage first. But as well as I do, Paul, and you've done the same thing. I've learned Photoshop and Final Cut Pro, and I think you can do a lot with these new programs and apps that are coming out, and you should learn those because those are going to, I feel like you'll make a video more passionate than, unless it's a music video that you're doing extremely professional, of course, and especially just interview videos to create engagement. You're going to do those videos and edit things more passionately. We talked about this in making music. If you have Pro Tools or Sonar or whatever, there's a lot of people that have studios now. Well, it's much easier for you to record yourself and create the painting to give to a producer that can enhance it and make it better. So it's important to learn Photoshop, I would say, Final Cut, any kind of DAW, Pro Tools, Sonar, if you're using a PC, any of these things. Those are the three most important things that I think a musician should learn right away: is your photos, your videos, and your music. And
and to get the job done, don't ever discount the friends that are around you. Not only the other bandmates, but everybody's got a friend who's an expert in one of these things. So
there's
even
that
if you're
favorite
terrible,
thing we talked about.
Yeah, exactly right. Hey, you know what? I need some help. I'm going to go ahead and shoot some video with my phone around town. Would you mind helping me edit this? And I can help you, record something. I can, help you do X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about resources. I think the most important resource, especially if you're in a band, and I swear by this, get online and search for music conferences. They're not that expensive, and you can shake a lot of hands in those and get to know a lot of people that are shakers and movers, and you can work with those people. Going to music conferences will help your band name recognition, and it will help you as a music business professional. And I think when you have those things going on in the background, when you're good at Photoshop, when you're good at recording, and it's going to help your chances of working with those people. And I think that's why it's important to perfect those crafts on your own. And you also trade favors with those guys. That's more of a music business and entrepreneurship side of it. But the same goes there with favor trading. It's on physical work and doing business and deals and creating opportunity for yourself. I think it's very important.
And so, what would you say to the artist? Or let me ask you this. Okay, so I'm an artist. I don't have a record yet, but I want to get one because that's the most important thing on my mind. And I got tunnel vision on a record. But I know that I want to play some clubs too and all that kind of thing. How much time do you personally spend working on the songs versus working on other aspects of your business?
Well, I think everything starts with the songs because I think that is your main brand point. So I think if you're starting out as an artist, hypothetically, then you should have tunnel vision on that record, and you should focus on that record on making what are you about as a person, or what's your band about? What are you representing? Do the songs speak of that, and working with other people like producers, if you don't think that there's times where, and you've done this, Paul, and I've done it, but you'll be sitting there for a year and a half and your record's not getting finished. And, there's a time where you have to kind of draw a line and say, hey, I need some help here. I need somebody to come in here, and don't be afraid to spend the money on a good producer. Good producers aren't that expensive. Get their professional opinions.
Not nowadays.
It's worth it. Yes, it's worth getting their opinions. It's worth working with somebody. Make sure that they, fit your brand alignment with your sound and everything. But work with a great producer that can help you finish that product. You have to finish that product.
And so that is the operative word. That is the operative word. Finishing that product. Lee did not say finishing that record, that vision. Those are those things. But finishing that product, folks. Recording the record is the lowest starting block. It's a given. Yes, it has to be perfect. It has to be great. But if you can't package that product, you've got nothing. The press kit and your image and everything built around it is the wrapping paper that's going to make sure that they rip that thing open so they can see what inside. That press kit, those photos, those videos, that's going to make people excited to want to dig in more, to hear that obscure track number 12 on your record. But until you put in the time and the energy to do that right, nobody's going to get excited to do that. So I think that's don't have such a tunnel focus on your record. It's got to be great, but once that's done, everything has got to be put into packaging that properly. Put as much time and money and energy into packaging it as you did to producing it.
Well, again, it goes back to you and I have talked about for years. I mean, sometimes you sit around, it's a year and a half later and you don't have your record done. Sometimes you can get distracted and focused on how good the record sounds, on, the track specific.
Oh man, I'm a tone junkie. I'll tweak guitar tones for 3 years.
Yeah, you and I both. But but you'll get focused on the wrong things instead of the right things. And the right things is the song. I mean, I've been told many times you can if it's a great song, you can put one microphone in the room and sit down with an acoustic guitar and sing it. And it doesn't even have to be the best recording in the world. But if it's a great song, it's a great song. And I think that, staying focused on making the songs great, it's that you're focused on perfecting the production of them. But those two working together create a great product. So don't hone in on just the production of the record. Hone in on the lyrics and the songwriting as well. It's just as important. The production is the showcase of your songwriting. It's not the forefront.
Yeah, I agree, and I want to devote a couple of different episodes to talking about kind of the philosophy behind how you approach recording and how you approach your songs and all these kinds of things. We're definitely going to get more in depth on that because it is, like Lee said, very, very important. So, again, and I can't say this enough about making sure that you put in all that time and money into packaging this product, but make sure, again, it's the very, very best that you can do. Use all resources at your disposal. Networking is absolutely critical. Lee mentioned music industry conferences, but there are also a lot of great networking events around town. Every city, every state has their own industry meetups, and just go online, find these. A lot of them are free. A couple of them, may cost a couple of bucks, songwriters meetups or these kinds of things, but get involved in the local scene. That's going to help you get your foot into clubs because guess what? Everyone who's at this thing with you has played all the clubs. They played all the shows. They're probably farther along than you are. But, the people that go to these meetups are really passionate about truly helping the scene. That's why they're there in the first place. So if you go and hang out with these folks, you're going to be plugged into a very positive network of folks that are going to help you help yourself. And, Lee, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I was going to say, too, on top of all that, we're not obviously getting too much into fan engagement, but they're speaking of resources and opportunity and going out around the city. I mean, there's a ton of indie filmmakers out now. Like there's musicians making their own movies and own films, and it's also an awareness thing too. And it kind of goes back to getting into those clubs that we talked about earlier. But there's a ton of opportunity out there outside of the box that you might not be thinking of. If you meet an indie filmmaker or something at an event, he might use your song in a video or something, or even somebody even just making a skiing video. But we're using your songs in video. Video content is the most engageable content you can have. So your song is getting presented more to more people through mass audience, mass syndication.
And that's why so many songwriters, myself included, find video, that final frontier of your artwork, because, writing songs has always been visual in some sense, once MTV came along and killed the radio star. And so, moving images, motion picture, and audio are now so intertwined. But that leads me to another point, which is resources. Filmmakers, even student filmmakers, if you are not
absolutely
media savvy, tech savvy, educate yourself, but go down to the local college, go down to the local high school, find these, film majors, find these guys that are, working at places like in Atlanta, the Atlanta Institute of Music. Okay, well, you've got 1 million musicians being trained there. They can help you record. They can help you get that sound. Go down to the college who's in film school. They can help you edit. And a lot of these people will do it for free if you can trade them music. They can trade you video. You can give them a great soundtrack for their next killer, project in class. And so that's a great way to think outside the box and get some really, really killer resources, because standing out above that crowd is what it is all about. In less than 3 seconds, you must make the best impression on the planet.
Absolutely. And here's something I want to add too. The people that are upcoming are hungry. They are very motivated. And these college students, journalists that do journalism degrees, they're going to go write for magazines. And this goes into your press kit, something we talked about earlier. That's another thing, is press. But these people are going to graduate and are going to go work somewhere. If they have an interest in music, they can write about you. And if you keep that contact, that becomes a resource later on that can really help you. But if you go after them now while they're in college, they can start writing about your band for the school paper. It gives you exposure in colleges, and it also puts press inside of your press kit. And it's another resourceful thing that can help expand awareness.
And even look in the short term, okay, I'm a band, and I don't have a record. I don't have a press kit yet. I'm just, picking up my guitar and playing some songs, so I know I'm going to get out there. But how killer would your press kit look if your song is featured in a film? Now, nobody has to know that it's, Bobby McNobody from the local university. But when you put that clip up on your Showslinger profile, I guarantee you're going to be heads and tails above the guy, who's sitting in his kitchen and barely even took the time to put on a shirt before playing his song,
Absolutely. Yeah, sure.
So,
videos stick out like sore thumbs,
Yeah, so, and actually, well, I'll tell you right off the bat, when we talk to artists that are signing up for Showslinger for premium gigs, now with Showslinger, a lot of the venues are using the software themselves to book artists, and, they're looking at whatever you're presenting them. But I can tell you from our internal folks that are working with very high-end properties, the first thing they're going to look for is your video. Even if you have 3 MP3s up there with Grammy Award-winning songs, the first thing they're going to click on is the video, because we want to see how you play. We want to see what you look like. And we want to see, more importantly than how you sound and how you play, is we want to see the effort that you put into it. Now, that's everything, and we've harped on that quite a bit, so I'm going to move on. The other thing that I would recommend to folks when you're setting up a basic press kit is when you're doing video, I want you to have 2 distinct types of videos up there. If you only have 2 videos, make it these 2. I want you to have one of you with a professional recorded song, or the best recorded song you have, okay? And you can have it in a studio environment, make it an artistic video, whatever music video you want, that's great. And the other one has got to be you playing live, because nobody's going to book you if they cannot see and hear you sound live. Now, when you're recording this, this video live, do yourself a real big favor. And even if you're recording it with your iPhone, your smartphone, whatever, that's totally fine, totally acceptable. just make sure that you do a quick test during sound check or during another band's song or whatever, that you're not standing right in front of the speaker and distorting. Yeah, don't distort all the audio. Stand in a place you can get some kind of light and the audio is somewhat distinguishable. Because I've had people, have a great video shot, and then I listen to the audio and it's just this nasty sounding, it's not going to fly. Again, it's about effort and it's about thinking about addressing each piece of the puzzle.
Some of my advice for that too, I mean, bands try to plan this live video thing all the time, and then they get upset when it fails. And I always tell, and they ask me, it's kind of like what we do, and I always tell them, I say, look, you should be recording all of your live shows anyways. Like, you record them all. I mean, you'll find a good video. It's like taking 1,000 photos. There's a good photo in there somewhere.
You're never going to see a photographer take one photo.
Yeah, it might take time, but one time is all you need out of how many shows of getting a good live video, and you'll get better at getting the audio and the video as you go. But record them all,
No, I 100% agree. And if nothing else, even if it's not for press kit, you need to be, reviewing all your shows. But say you're a band and you've done nothing, you can't get any shows because you don't have the press kit yet, but you want to have that killer video. But you want to be live, but you can't get the show, so it's a catch-22. So what you do, very, very simple. Go find a really cool spot around town. It could be public. It could be, in a park, wherever. Whatever fits your brand. But go ahead, set up live, set up your PA, whatever, and just go ahead and perform. Even if nobody is there, it doesn't matter because booking agents are seeing this. And they, if you sound good, you put on a good show. This is what it's all about. So we're in the last couple of seconds here. I really want to thank Lee Caruso from Big Atlantic for coming out and sharing his experiences.
My pleasure.
And we're going to have you back on. We talk more in depth about marketing and a lot of these deeper details about setting up a tour. Lee's a Berklee graduate and has worked with a lot of folks and even played with folks like the Foo Fighters and things like that. So we're going to have you back on. Lee, thanks so much. And so as we're wrapping up here, like I said, nothing beats a lot of effort. We're going to put some actionable steps on my blog at showslinger.com/show to follow up on this, to give you a few internet links and resources, steps that you can follow to create the perfect press kit. Right now, this is Paul Nikolas. We're going to get loud next week, so make sure you tune back in. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, cheers.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. Pitbull Audio.